this is editing me. I forgot to put warnings. So, warning, there will be spoilers of the entire manga as well as trigger warnings, which, if you have any, we're going to be speaking about loss as well as self-harm, which I'm hoping I can get the timestamps and I'll put them up on the screen to let you know as well. So if you don't like those, either skip the parts or don't watch this video. Hello people, this is Goggle Reads. This is where I'm going to review books. Today, it is Goodbye Eri. I think that's how you pronounce it in Japanese. I almost said Spanish. My bad. I don't know how I'm gonna do these videos when I'm reviewing things, but we're gonna go with it. This is Goodbye Eri by Tatsuki Fujimoto, which is the creator of Chainsaw Man, which you can very much see in like the art style and everything that it's Chainsaw Man. Like, this is the creator. I'm not even looking. I have to look here and not here. I have this problem. So, this book follows a character. Let me grab my book. This is what I wrote. Whatever I have, like, some reason, whatever. Ah, yes. Okay. Oh, I'm also gonna try and put, like, little pictures up to so you can follow the story a little bit. This video will contain spoilers. You've been warned. This is Goodbye Eri. It follows a character named Yuta. You follow him throughout the story, pretty much, mostly him. There's another character that I'll say later on in the little summary here. But it follows a character, Yuta, who ends up getting a smartphone from his mom, who is ill, and is given the task to film basically everything of, like, the mother and their whole interactions and stuff. She says it's so he can have memories when she eventually dies. Then throughout that time, you see moments of their family events, of them like going to the aquarium, they hang out, parks, stuff like that. It does show some of the happy times of their family life while also going and showing some of the sadder parts, since he was given the task to film everything since he got the phone till eventually she dies. It is not discussed what she has exactly, I don't believe. Let me look through it. No. She just has an illness. That's all that's said. The most sad parts that are shown in this book is the dad crying about like the whole mom and the whole situation that is at hand. We have some funny moments in it of him filming, because he is like a teenage boy with a smartphone. Shows him making funny faces at the camera, as well as like random stuff that he finds on the street and whatever else. Him eating food, stuff like that. Eventually, it gets to the point where Yuta's mom ends up going to the hospital. Like, has to stay at the hospital and is bed rest. I think that's the word. If not, I'll correct myself on the screen. With that, since she is now at the hospital and has to stay there, she asked her son to film her like final words, like her final breaths and everything like that, which eventually gets to that point and he can't finish the filming because, this is his mother dying. I wouldn't want to do that either. So he runs away from the hospital. After that moment, we see as readers that it cuts to this explosion, which we find out that it is a short film that he used all the content of whatever he filmed of his mother and made this short film for a school festival, which ends up getting some backlash because of the explosion. A lot of people are making fun of it because there's like a explosion at the end and everything. And a lot of people are asking, well, why exactly did you put that explosion in this short film? Isn't that disrespectful to your mom? Which Yuta begins to say, like, I don't see how this is disrespectful because it's a film made for my mom. In his mind, he thinks it's awesome, like an awesome ending, like an action movie sort of thing. After many people are asking why he has decided to make this film and end it off that way and was getting, like, all the bad backlash, he has decided this is gonna be mentioning, I'm gonna say sewer slide. I don't think you can say that on YouTube. Sewer slide. So if that doesn't, I'll put a warning before the whole ordeal of this review. But yes, he contemplates on doing that, and eventually he films like a message for people when they do end up seeing it. He makes a video saying that he's gonna commit sewer slide because of the backlash of the video, saying like, well, I put all my life in hard work into this this movie. How do you guys think I feel? And eventually it cuts to, he ends up going to the spot where he said, which was the mom's hospital's rooftop. He goes there and he meets the character Eri, which I'll put a better picture up. And she ends up stopping him from doing whatever that he was about to do, and is like, well, hey, I know you from the short film that you made. I really liked it. Don't do that here because the hospital's really good. Actually, let me just show you something. And they end up going to this like abandoned building that she like leads him to, which they end up watching. I think it was 3 films. They end up basically watching 3 films in this abandoned area, and he's wondering why they're watching these films. And eventually she says, well, you could make awesome films. I feel like you have the potential to do so. They basically make a pact together, and it's like, well, we'll continue watching more movies as time goes on, and you can make a better film and basically have your revenge on the school, which Yuta agrees on that. Then he makes another recording of him saying, actually, I'm not gonna do that. Instead, I'm gonna make the best film ever, and you guys are gonna eat your words, basically. So as time goes on, you see the characters kind of bond more, and watching more movies as time goes on, which there's a panel here that I kind of giggled at. It shows, what is that one movie? Call Me By Your Name. And I found that I giggled a little bit seeing that. And then over time you see like them connect and everything, and eventually after they have watched more of the content, Eri is telling Yuta that he is ready for the next step of his film being made, which is going to be like the storyboarding of it as well as filming it and so on. He starts planning out his storyboard and everything upon that, which is basically the story he is living, just with an added fantasy thing. It's basically his life that he's experienced, and he's gonna make a film, and the character that the main character ends up meeting is a vampire, which is basically Yuta, and the main character is basically him, and everything upon that. After Eri ends up approving of the story, they film a few parts of like the scenes that they have planned out, and eventually Yuta finds out that she also has an illness similar, kind of like how the mom had one and everything like that. And given that she knows the whole thing with Yuta and the mom, she gives the same task of filming her final breaths and basically making the movie, which he at first was like, whoa, but he eventually agrees. They continue filming, and once it gets closer to her death, the readers are cut to a moment where Yuta is met by his dad. He finds out about the whole situation with Eri and realizes like, oh, that's similar to the mom's, and he is telling Yuta that he filmed the last words of the mom, which we find out is a very messed up line here. Since Yuta ended up running away, the finals lines were, as I read, that boy was useless to the very end. Which, you don't want to hear your mom say that. Which we find out after that line that the mom was very much a bad person. She was rude. She was verbally abusive. She would cuss him out and stuff. That's not it. We kind of connect the dots as readers that the clips of the dad crying was actually like him after like the mom like cuss him out or like ignore him after like a fight and stuff like that. You know, sad moments. Yuta kind of realizes that idea of his mom was kind of shattered in a sense, and we find out like the reason why the mom originally wanted Yuta to film everything was because she wanted like a documentary of her beating her illness, but she didn't. So she wanted a documentary no matter what about her, because she was a very famous like filmmaker, like producer. So that's the main reason why they wanted like the whole illness to be filmed. Eventually Eddie ends up being discharged from the hospital and is able to like roam around and do stuff again, which they end up going to the aquarium, they go out and eat, they do all that fun stuff, which now that I'm thinking about it, it reminds me of the mom and their stuff. So I guess he's like reliving those experiences, but in like a better light in a sense. So he does that. Eddie is back in the hospital and he's editing all of the content that he has filmed, and then it cuts to a scene of her on the bed, like her last kind of words, and a movie that will make them all bawl their eyes out. I don't know if you can see that. Basically, we find out that this is now the short film for Eddie, and we find out there is good feedback from it. Everyone loved it, and they were crying at the end of this short film instead. After that, Eddie ended up passing away, and he, like, continues to live life, which we find out that he ends up having a wife and kid, and throughout his time, he still revisits the videos of Eddie and rearranges stuff to make different films because he felt as if something was missing. After that, it shows him recording himself talking about a situation that happened where he was driving a car and his family, his wife, kid, and dad end up dying in a crash when he was the one driving, which obviously that has a toll on him, which, similar to having the bad feedback, he ends up deciding to commit suicide, which he ends up going to the abandoned building they have watched movies in, and as he is about to set up his rope and everything, he sees Eddie, and so they have a conversation about the film and everything, and they land on the topic of memories. Eddie ends up saying that she will be fine, whatever is happening, because, you know, he's the one who's still living, and in my head, I think the ending is they come to a conclusion of, like, she's still living through the memories, and she's not truly gone, I think, which they end up saying goodbye, and of course, the end of the story, we have a big explosion because he needs his fantasy twist or action twist or whatever. That is a summary of Goodbye, Eddie. It's a little short story. It's a good read. So when I was reading this, I really liked the pictures in it. Well, no duh, it's a manga. But I really love, like, Chainsaw Man, and I read Chainsaw Man. Well, I should say the first part, because now there's a second part that I need to read. But having, like, all of the scenes and stuff in here, there's a lot of, like, pretty panels in this manga, which I truly love. I really love seeing the pretty panels. And coming from Chainsaw Man, from what I remember, you don't really see too much of the, like, pretty panels of what this author / illustrator could do. So it was really cool seeing, like, little panels, like the one where she's in front of the aquarium, which, again, I'll be putting panels up on the screen and whatever else. But it was really cool to see. And also, when you're looking at the panels, they're like film. Like, the best way I can describe it is film. So all of the panels are lined up like this, with, like, an occasional big shot, which I find awesome, because the whole thing is about film and, like, creating a film and everything. And the cover too, the cover, you can kind of see, like, the difference, and also matted with, like, a glossy on the screen of the phone is cool. At the end, I was a little shocked with the whole thing, but also not, because I kind of assumed it was going to go through that sort of deal, but it was a little bit shocking to see, because I was not expecting the mom to be like that, and reading that line, I was like, what the hell? It's like, what do you mean? That's so messed up. It's very shocking. Really like seeing the characters' relationship kind of evolve over time. There's a panel where they, like, end up arguing, and it's kind of funny reading that, and they eventually get more connected, and you can see that through how they interact with the panels as well as, like, their dialogue and stuff. So obviously, as, like, final thoughts, this story ends up covering the topic of loss. I have not personally experienced something like that, but in my eyes, I feel like this is pretty good idea of like this kid ends up going through the whole process of grieving his mom, and also the idea of like if he should strictly see the mom in like this good eye or not, given the type of character she was. So he had like a hard time coming to terms with that in a sense. But he, in my head, I feel like he ends up wanting to instead just view the mom in like the nicer light, and like the one that he chose to show the footage of in his first short film. And with Eddie, you can kind of see the similar thing, but instead there's more of the acceptance of like that sadness, I guess. Like he decides to sit there and experience it in a way, and he makes that short film, which kind of shows like the more happy moments of their like relationship throughout the short film. The end of the book as well, I feel like the idea of memories being in that dialogue topic, that really shows how like a person isn't truly gone. They like live in your memories, and it's not good to dwell too hard on like the loss of a person. Kind of like how he kind of stayed in his idea of like Eddie being gone and like the mom being gone and stuff like that, where I feel like at the end he like finally realized that he can remember his like the people that he's lost over the time, while also still living his life instead of dwelling too hard on it. You know, I probably could have did a better review, but this is my first one. I feel like that was an alright review for a manga. I'm sorry for not giving a justifying review, but that was my review. It is a good book. It is Goodbye Eri, and it is by Tsuki Fujimoto. And yeah, and if you want to read it, I highly recommend it. It's good. Also read Chainsaw Man if you like manga and action, and yeah, Chainsaw Man's a pretty good one. I don't know how to end these videos. If you like the video, leave a like, subscribe if you want to watch my future book reviews. It's pretty much whenever I finish a book. I'm a very slow reader. I'm hoping to finish this book next, which is The Quiet Tenant, or my other book, Goth. Probably gonna be The Quiet Tenant first though, so look out for that video eventually. But yeah, leave a like, subscribe. If you have any book recommendations that you would like me to review, leave a comment down below. And yeah, bye.